Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Otsego City Council meeting. Tonight is Monday, April 11th. Audra, can you have the record show that our city attorney, city planner, city engineer, all council members are present, along with the assistant city administrator and the administrator. At this time, I'll ask everyone to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first item of business this evening is the open forum. This is the portion of the meeting where anyone can come to the podium, state your name and address, and limit comments to 5 minutes or less. This also applies to anyone online. Would anyone like to speak at this time? All right, we will close the open forum and move on to item 2 to consider our agenda for approval. Does anyone have anything that they would like to add or delete at this time? Adam?
Mayor and council request to add item 6.1, which was distributed at the dais this evening.
Okay. Anyone have anything else they'd like to add? All right, a motion would be in order then.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I will approve the agenda as amended, allowing item 6.1.
A second.
Motion by Brittany, seconded by Jeff. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to item 3, which is our consent agenda. A motion would be in order.
Mayor,
Yes, Jeff.
I'd like to make a motion to go, whatever the consent agenda,
Approve it.
approve it. Second.
All right. All right, there's a motion by Jeff. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Tina. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to item 4.1 is the Walsh Estates and O'Day Acres Street Renewal Project. I will turn this over to the city engineer for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the 2022 street renewal project that we have an annual project throughout the city. This project, we've already had the open house, the public hearing, and the council's ordered plans and specs. So tonight we're presenting the plans and specs to the council for approval. And we've done a more up-to-date engineer's estimate on the project. One of the items that we have is that the budget under the feasibility report was for $991,000. And the current engineer's estimate for the base bid project is $951,578. We did put an alternate bid in there, and that was for doing some work within the ditches in mainly the most southwestern corner of that area. Has some standing water, and we were looking to potentially alleviate that issue. It doesn't cause issues with the street, but it is kind of a nuisance for that area. And again, we just targeted the areas that had standing water. There might be other areas where it might be damp for a time and people might have brought them up to us, but we were just looking at areas where we could see on the aerial photos that there was water actually standing in the ditches, which causes issue with mowing, mosquitoes, and just aesthetics as far as just having standing water in front of your house. So with that, it would add up to $1,011,679 would be both those added together. I don't think you have to make a decision tonight. You could order us to go out for this, bring it back to you with the bids, and then determine if it does stay within that estimated amount. If it goes quite a bit over, you can drop the alternate, or if it stays around that amount or lower, you guys may want to go forward with it. I think we can go to the project. So this is the area in the southwest corner. That the areas in the pink are what would be some ditch grading, along with some culverts that would be placed in there. And if you look close enough, you can see some dark lines beneath the pink, which would indicate water standing in the ditches. So we're trying to look at just targeting some of those specific areas. So our timeline on the project is bid opening, is to go for 3 weeks of bidding. So May 4th would be our bid opening. That's a Wednesday, and then we'd award the bid at the next council meeting if the bids are good. And then construction could potentially start towards the end of May. And we put the completion date for substantial completion August 29th. But I'd like to make it a working day contract. So the contractor, once he starts, he has to get in there and get it done. So if he did come in and say May 31st, he'd have to have it done by end of July. But he probably would want to start before, say July 1st, so he could get the 45 days, working days, 9 weeks by that end of August, before school starts is what we were looking at. And with that, I just, we have some, I guess I got the cross sections of what we're doing. Right now, we got roads within Walsh Estates have 18 to 22 feet of street section. That gets it really close to the edge of the asphalt. We see some edge breaking. So we're going to 2 10-foot lanes with a gravel shoulder on it so that supports that edge, so we don't have that issue. And then with the O'Day circle, that is bituminous curb, and we don't have any, it's not one of our standard plates within the city anymore. So we would be going to concrete curb in that short section of street. They do already have storm sewer in, so that makes it possible to do this. So that would go from a 29-foot to a 28-foot, so not a lot of difference. The people would actually gain 6 inches of yard on either side. With that, look for a resolution of approval of a resolution to adopt the plans and specs that were presented, and we'll put it out for bids.
Any questions for Ron? I have some, Ron. Will this project, I mean, because it is, as you said, it is one of the smaller areas with the drive lanes back in this area. When it is closed or they are doing construction, how will we be allowing, will it be like any of our other projects where they're able to drive through it to get access to their driveways? How are we handling mailboxes? What would
Yeah,
those-
the reclamation projects that you're able to still access it at all times. A reconstruction project where you're taking off the material and getting down to the clay base.
Mhm.
Then if you get rain, it's really difficult to access people's property. But in this manner, you're basically driving on a gravel road until it gets paved again. And of course, paving can move along pretty quickly. I suspect they'll have this thing paved once they get to the paving portion of it within a week, probably less. So I don't see any issues with access to any of the properties during any portion of the project. In fact, we're writing it in the spec that if we remove, there's some culverts that are getting removed and replaced with, because it's going to be a 50-year road again. It's been 50 years. And we want those new culverts in there, so we're not to repair a culvert, cut through the new asphalt. We don't want to have them take out 2 of them and then strand some people either in their house or can't get to their house. So they have to adjust to make sure that there's always some method to get to everybody's house.
More questions? Tom, you had your hand.
Yes. You go back to the picture that showed that's proposed 60,000.
Oh, alternate.
Yeah. Yep. I guess go back to the other picture that showed kind of the arrows where yeah. So where are the issues? It's in the pink.
Yeah, so if you can see it, 7849 far on the left-hand side of your screen and 7821.
Yeah.
If you look in front of 7821, you'll see some dark in the ditch area. That would indicate from an aerial if that's standing water. Also in front of 7905 at the top at the T, if you look there, you got a dark line right next to the pink.
Mm-hmm.
And that also indicates some standing water. So those are some of the, and you can see also above almost on the bottom of the sheet, 14083, I think it is. There's some standing water in that yard also.
Okay, and so where's the ditch work that would be done here would drain water where?
Well, the pink lines were where we'd have to clean the ditches and
Okay.
reset culverts. It's a lot of it has to do with the culverts that are in place, the property owners culverts. So we would be working in some people's driveways and resetting their culverts so that they would flow the right direction. Some might have reverse fall. Some of them are set too high to let the water pass through. And then it, where those arrows all come to a point, it goes down that property line between 7905 and 7917
All right.
to the wetland to the north.
Is this where it's kind of all draining to, or is it draining
Right
out
there.
this
Yep,
way?
you got it right there.
Okay. And then the resolution for tonight, if we approved to go out for bids, how do we distinguish between getting kind of two separate bids?
Well, when we set it up in the specifications,
Yep.
it's going to read that you have to put in a number for the base bid, but the alternate is a decision, based on what the price is and what the council decides. So when we bring the price back, if it's say 120,000, it's double what we expected.
We can easily take
You
that
could
out.
easily take that out.
Okay. And I guess a question for Adam, given that, I mean, obviously with inflation where it is and where it's going right now, and we're still going out to bid, and CPI is coming out tomorrow, which will probably, again, give us another indication of where we're heading. We have funds, even though it's kind of supposed to be over what we had budgeted for.
Yeah, I wouldn't not proceed with the project due to the slight budget overage.
That would still come out of the same fund.
Correct.
More questions or comments? Tom, are you done?
Yep.
Any more questions or comments? Right. A motion would be,
I'll make a motion. Mayor.
all right. Tina?
Motion to adopt resolution 2022-38, approving the plans and specifications and ordering advertisement for bids for the 2022 street renewal project, Walsh Estates and O'Day Acres City Project number 22-03.
I second.
Motion by Tina, seconded by Jeff. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to item 4.2, speed limits. Ron?
Thank you, Mayor. Back in 2019, the state of Minnesota allowed cities to determine the speed limits on their own streets as long as they researched it and made a policy that made some sense according to engineering. And so probably starting in December or so, we started working on this and put together a matrix, which we followed, that shows all the different types of streets and the widths, if they have trails, not trails, speed limits or existing speed limits now, and try to come up with a scenario that made a lot of sense going throughout the city and then set the policy accordingly. So I think what we have on here is the resultant of that, which is this speed limit map that which we adopted tonight. And we've got 25 miles an hour for all local streets, 30 miles an hour for all residential minor collectors, local commercial, and local industrial. And that's that light green. And then the blue is our rural residential and industrial collector, and also the blue is our residential major collectors like McIver, Odine, Nashua, 85th. And then we've got the rural residential and industrial collectors, which we have set at 45. And those are in that kind of purple or magenta color. So, and then there's still some 55s in the city, and some of those we're not putting speed limit signs on. There'll be statute. That's the black ones that are more rural in character. And then also the yellow ones, which are don't have many access on them and have a very wide road and are designed for that type of speeds. So this would be the speed limit. And again, the matrix is the next sheet that shows just how we came about that and the reasoning. So if a resident calls and wants to know why the speed limit was set to what it was, we can point to this matrix and explain all the things that went into it. Like I said, we started this in probably December. It's been through a couple, 3 public work subs. It's gone through the admin sub, and it's also gone to full council for reviews at workshop. So I think the staff and council did a lot of due diligence in coming up with this method, and I think it'll work well. So at this point, it's going to be staff putting up the signs and also getting out the information to the residents that speed limits are changing. So with that, we have the street speed limit policy to be accepted, and then the ordinance amending the city code.
Questions for Ron? Ron, I know I brought it up at admin meeting. I've talked to you outside of that also. When we talk about getting this information out to residents, we talked about putting it in the Otsego View, probably on our website or some Facebook blasts. But have we also sent it over to the Wright County Sheriff's Department, since this will affect them in obviously protecting our roads?
I don't know that we've done any more than
Just this.
letting Jason know at some of these meetings.
Okay. And we will make sure Jason gets a copy and sends it out to his deputies. Is there any other questions or comments?
So I do have a quick question.
Ms. Tina?
I'm looking here if it's on here. Well, 38, so 70th and 30 or 70th, 38, 219, that currently is what, 55? Is that going down to 45?
That's a county stated highway, so
Yeah.
we don't have any.
Okay,
over
no
that.
control over that.
Yep.
Okay.
So
any-
anything that's a trunk highway, like the interstates or
Okay.
any of the counties, we have no
No,
jurisdiction. over.
Okay.
Which I know we've gotten some emails and there's been requests for that, but
Yeah.
as Ron said, we can't.
They
Change
they
that.
did recently do speed studies on those segments after the reconstruction project.
Right. Yeah, Mark had sent us that last year, Mark Leiden.
Mayor,
Yes, Jeff.
would it be okay to ask Jason's opinion now, or would it be better when he does staff updates?
We can invite him up. It's our option, so,
Okay.
but obviously the direction is still the council's. We can get his input, and it would be him enforcing what rules we put in place.
Yeah.
Jason, good evening.
Good evening indeed. What would be your input?
Sergeant, this way we can't forget you later on.
No,
Correct.
just Dan.
To follow up on the first question, so yeah, the city staff has made me aware that, okay, we're gonna be looking into speed limit, maybe some changes. I've spread it around to some of the staff. We're kind of just waiting, or my staff, I'm just kind of waiting for anything official. And hey, once the signs get placed, then we have statutorily, we can kind of go enforce it on our end. So I'm just kind of waiting for that. Certainly the education part would probably come from squad cars sitting around, and I think some people will end up finding out the speed limit is changed with flashing red and blue lights behind them. So I understand that
But
may
you
be
plan
part
to
of it.
educate them, not give it to them right away,
Well,
correct?
well, in all honesty, so in the last 12 months, we've made 3,200 traffic stops in the city of Otsego. Out of those, we have 800 of those resulted in some sort of charge. However, that also includes, that could be a DUI, that could be a drug charge, that could be somebody that was driving by a house that they're not allowed to. So I could probably even lower that down. Out of 3,200 traffic stops, we probably only write 400 petty misdemeanor level traffic related offenses. We are very big on the education side. If we see egregious conduct, absolutely, somebody could get a citation for that. But we're going to try to go spread the word on, hey, please watch the speed, watch the stop sign, etc. As far as opinionation, I guess, goes, I guess my big concern are typically residential streets, where if you go around some of the neighborhoods, I'll use Palmgren Avenue as kind of an example. You go around Palmgren Avenue, that's technically a 30-mile-an-hour zone. Well, if somebody's doing 31 miles an hour, that's an egregious speed if we got the kids out and If speed limits are changed in residential areas where we can lower them, it gives us a little bit more leverage to go have those type of contacts where like, we need to slow this down. Otherwise, some of these times we see somebody going 30 miles an hour, we get calls that say, hey, people are flying through this neighborhood here. Well, we'll go out and we'll do our own enforcement. The speed trailers will go out there and we'll find that there's no violations statutorily. So any leverage that we can have to some of these neighborhoods or spots where we got a lot of foot traffic, bike traffic or whatever, that we can get some people slowed down, I think that would be beneficial.
Thank you.
Tom?
Madam Mayor, Sergeant Altman, while you're still up there, when you have then seen this. in some-
Yep. So I've
Okay.
gotten pieces of it and kind of looked through it. So
All right, was there anything that stood out to you that was cause for concern or?
no, again, I look at it from our standpoint as a leverage situation where, again, I don't want to be out there just the second, we get either speed reductions or, changes in speed limits to go out there and now we have a new trap zone. I know maybe that's a cliche or a stereotype for law enforcement is, some of these places are, what do they call them? The fundraiser spots.
Mhm.
I want to be able to go out there and educate people and have people adhere to certain district that, 30-mile-an-hour zone in one spot, that's a residential area. It could be fair, and a 30-mile-an-hour zone in a different spot could be completely unfair. So there's a lot of different things like I brought up at the last council meeting. We have an enormous amount of traffic complaints. Anything that we can do to try to get out there and have deputies have some tools at hand to try to get some stuff taken care of, that would be very beneficial.
That's all I had.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you. Tom?
Madam Mayor, the other, I guess, question or comment is trying to update. Again, I don't know exactly how we do this, but the GPS, not necessarily on the phones, but in our
In the
cars, that has the speed limits that are posted on there. If there's any way we can let them know if we're doing this all at once, where we can get everything kind of updated and over to them, so people driving their car, for whatever reason, it's not saying 55 when it's 45.
Sabrina, any comments on that?
Yeah, so the like phone GPSs that have the, I guess like Google Maps and stuff like that, that you can submit information into, but a lot of like the car-based ones are actually like just a chip. It's not necessarily live data. So you typically, if you go get your car service, they'll update it for you anyway. So those kind of depend on, when you get your car service.
Then I guess I would probably be based on the age of the car, because I think a lot of cars, they actually do automatic software updates now as well. So like if you're using the TomTom system or some other
Yeah.
type system, but yeah, just if we can get that updated, I think that would be helpful as well.
Any other questions or comments?
I just have a question comment.
Mhm.
I think we mentioned the last council meeting that the signs Kevin would be able to get or has them already.
We would
or-
be ordering them.
Okay, and it wouldn't take too long to get in, and I don't know how long this process will take, so that was just a.
Yeah, good point. The signs have been ordered
Okay.
based on the feedback at the last special
Okay.
meeting from the council. There was a couple week lead time. I
Okay.
think more importantly, getting the word out to the public via the newsletter and social
Yes.
media. So likely we'll see a late May implementation
Okay.
on that. So we'll keep the council on the loop as we start to change
Okay.
out signs.
Perfect.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, a motion would be in order.
Mayor,
Jeff?
you can make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-39, establishing a policy for speed limits upon city streets. Adopt ordinance 2022-04 to regulate speed limit on city streets and approve publication in summary form.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, seconded by Tina. Is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yeah.
And this will be updated on our GIS system.
There's a GIS system for utilities, and then the street department has the street signs on their sign inventory that they use.
Mhm.
So I expect that Kevin will update it with that.
So if something gets taken out, then you know what to replace it with.
Right. Yep.
Right.
He'll probably do that, as one comes down, he'll put up
Sure.
what the new one is in place. Yes, the time that was installed, because after so many years, the reflectivity is not there, so you have to go through
Update it
and
anyways.
update all your signs again anyways.
Sure.
So you have to maintain your signs, I think it's about every 5 years or so.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, we're moving on to city council reports and updates. Does anyone have anything? I will say on Saturday, we had a well-attended Easter event. Nothing but positive. I mean, the sun was out, so really nice to have people using our parks. And there was over 700 kids that had registered for that day. So thanks to the park and rec staff and then other people that volunteered that day to make that event successful. So figured I'd pass that along. Anyone else have anything? Moving on to staff reports and updates. We have item 6.1 that was distributed before the meeting. I asked Adam if we didn't accept the resignation, and he said it doesn't really matter if we accept it or not. He's still gonna do it. What would be funny, like we can make him stay longer.
Yeah, we could try. But yeah, so on Park and Recreation Director Ross Demont did submit his resignation to me this morning. He is taking a job with the Wright County Park and Recreation Department. So he will be, did provide ample notice. So we do have Ross through the end of the month, and I wish him well. So.
It may have made his decision to leave us because he had to play the Easter Bunny.
For the record, he literally had to wait. So that is
That's all.
not an excuse. I did all of the
Where-
talking.
Wearing the costume is, no.
Hey, no, not an
Then you should
excuse.
play the Easter Bunny next year.
I offered to switch. Had I known.
Yeah.
And Mayor, I hate to get the attorney involved here, but in his resignation, letter, it says, please consider this my resignation. In considering this his resignation, is everything in order, or is there more considering we can do?
Well, like Adam mentioned, you could try to reject his resignation, but I don't think it's gonna result in staying.
But can we consider
You never
it
know.
You can
for-
consider rejecting it. He's still gonna take a different job.
You don't know that. You
Yeah.
might stay. We
Yeah.
all say.
I tried to convince him.
Well, Madam Mayor, I wish Ross was here, and obviously we'll be talking with him soon. So hopefully at one of these next upcoming meetings, he'll be in attendance so we can thank him personally,
Yes.
face to face.
Absolutely.
But with that, I will make a motion to accept the resignation after much consideration of Ross Dement from the position of Parks and Rec Director effective April 29th, 2022, and I'll reserve talking more about that later when he's here.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion by Tom, seconded by Tina. Is there any discussion? I guess I would just like it noted if Audra, if we could get him a plaque or something. We've had people retire, move on. We really did grow this department. We had no formal park and rec department, so Ross has been here from the ground up. He will be missed. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Send him a message to tell him that we didn't accept it too.
I'm sure he's worried.
He's not watching. All right, we are on staff reports and updates. I will start with Sabrina.
Thank you, Mayor. No reports for me.
All right, Adam.
Thank you, Mayor. The city has its financial statement audit next week, so we'll have the audit firm in for a couple days going through the financial statements. The new utility billing position starts on Monday. Tammy is joining us from Wright County, so we traded
See,
staff with them.
yeah, this is like a game now.
Yes. And then just a reminder, the local Board of Appeal and Equalization meeting is at our next date, April 25th. It starts at 5:30.
Everyone make sure you're here on time.
Yes, I talked with the assessor earlier today. They had over 600 phone calls to date, about 60 of those from Otsego, about double what they've had throughout the whole process last year. So just be prepared for that.
And Adam, I'd just like to say I am a little upset that Ross didn't tell any of you before we got out.
The new directory,
staff,
it's color too, color.
Yeah, I know.
Waste a good ink.
We'll fix it. That's why you don't print
If you could
things.
pass that along.
That's
mean.
That's mean. It's
Did you
not
just-
mean.
Adam said that's why you don't print things.
He's just giving us ones that want paper.
Oh,
It's his little dig.
Yep,
Mhm.
he dumped it from his
Keep digging.
vacation.
keep digging.
Yeah.
No further updates.
We could just cut out a new picture. and Paste it.
Stickers.
I'll
just
bring,
hand
I'll
out
bring, I'll
stickers.
bring glue or something or tape. All right, Audra,
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to report.
Dave,
Nothing to report, thank you.
Dan,
Thank you, Mayor, nothing to report.
Ron.
I think Adam sent out your,
You're about to go. on
yeah,
a roll.
Adam sent out the invitation to Charlie Carrier's retirement party. We looked at 3 places in Otsego. It's a busy town, I guess, on Thursday nights because we weren't able to find any place. So it is at Green Haven,
Oh, what time?
April 28th, 6 to 9.
Green Haven,
Green Haven's difficult to get to.
429. At what time?
6 to 9,
6 to 9.
28, right?
It's a 28.
I think it's the 28th.
28.
Ross will probably just show up and want some, write his name on like a little corner too. It's table
for
for
East River. Yeah.
Anything else?
Oh.
All right. Jason Olmans.
Okay, lightning round. First thing, kind of just an interesting dynamic here. Just kind of came to light last night. So we had a few power outages last night. Some of the wind kind of did some goofy things last night. It's just kind of an interesting deal for us on patrol when the power goes out. Power goes out and suddenly not only do we have just naturally anything that, especially when it's weather related, calls related to that, whether it's stuff down in the streets. Something like last night is we run into everybody's alarm systems go absolutely haywire, and we run into about 30 different alarm responses. So it can be kind of a little bit confusing for the entire area where, between St. Michael, Albertville, and Otsego, where we have probably a total of 60 alarms all going off at the same time because the power's doing some goofy things. So when the power goes out, the manpower thing is a huge deal for us in trying to prioritize things. One thing I did kind of think that was kind of interesting is every time the power goes out, we'll run into at least one stoplight that likes to go out. They do have battery backups. They have backup systems that if anything else is supposed to go to the flashing reds. However, like anything else, stuff doesn't work. And so, like I said, usually if the power goes out to the entire region, we'll run into at least 1 or 2 stoplights that go out. Something that we don't have to deal with is, boy, it's nice when there's a roundabout in place where we don't have to worry about lights. Something that's kind of odd that I kind of went, you know what, that's kind of nice to have. So as much as people, again, I'm kind of starting to warm up to them.
You're gonna put that in your report.
Well, ATVs on trails. We've gotten a handful of ATVs that are going out in the trails again. I know we dealt with them a handful of times last year, but little mini ATVs kind of going around on city, either the trails or the sidewalks. So we're trying to get out there and hey, nothing motorized on our trails, please. Again, I think I brought it up last year, but for some reason people go, well, I'd rather be on the trail or the sidewalk than the street. And I go, well, no, that's not. So I think people are trying to be helpful, but at the same time, it's actually worse. So, and then I guess the last thing that I have is we're just preparing for the road construction that's going to start in the area. 94 and 10 or 169, I guess. All going to be torn up here pretty quick, and we're preparing for especially on overnights, they completely mess up everything. And there's a kind of a bleed over until all the areas around. So
Does it look like the bridge going into Elk River, the 169, that's going to be shut down, so they would be diverting it through Parish at overnights at times.
I've looked through the report and I've gone, this is like a 3-year project. And
Yeah.
I just am anticipating chaos and
Yeah.
Honestly. So, and then, cause then on top of it, they're going to be messing around 94 here pretty quick too.
Right.
So I know it's a little bit further west, but like I said, it backs itself up down to our area too.
Mhm. Should be interesting.
That is what I have.
It'll be great once it's all done.
That'll be great when it's
gonna
done.
be Crazy for
Nope,
the
I
next
agree.
2 years. Yeah. All right. Does anyone have anything for Sergeant Holman's? Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any other comments? Otherwise, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Second.
Motion by Tom, seconded by Tina. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The meeting has ended. Thank you all for attending.